What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider interview studio at Fantastic Fest 2024. I'm excited for this interview for a number of reasons. First off, because Bone Lake is indeed awesome, but I'm also so excited to get to reconnect with you on another movie.
Because it's wonderful back here again.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, we first met at TIFF for Fixation. And your DP in that caught my eye. And then I followed him to his next project. And we spoke here at Fantastic Fest. He referred me to another DP he was a fan of. And now that DP is coming into the studio later in the festival. So amazing. Yeah. I just love tracking that DPs, stuff.
But our DP also did Saw, who did this.
Yeah. This movie, I can confirm, does look exceptional. Clearly, I know what Bone Lake is, but because it's getting a film festival premiere, our audience will first learn about it through Fantastic Fest, so I must give you synopsis duties. What is Bone Lake about?
Totally. So Bone Lake is about a couple who comes to this Airbnb getaway and they figure out it's double booked and it becomes this psychosexual, absurd, funny horror nightmare of a game without giving anything away.
Job well done describing a movie with a multitude of layers to it. Before I get into specific questions about actually making it, I am curious, just because I love playing through these scenarios in my own mind. Before making this movie, if you, as in real you, showed up to a rental home and realized it was double booked, would you actually stay there? And after having made the movie, does your answer to that question remain the same?
Totally. I feel like we have differing answers on this because my answer would be, hell yes, stay and see shit go down. And then after seeing this movie, I shouldn't say yes, but I'd still want to have a weird time. So yes.
I learned nothing from movies. That's the right answer.
And you said something even funnier. You're going to like create a character and be someone else that you can never be.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I would just run. I mean, this was one of the challenges of the film, right? How do we make the audience think, oh, they're staying, they should stay. Like, why don't they just set up and leave? You know, why do they keep staying there? Because things get crazier and crazier and crazier. But so this was the biggest challenge for it, I think. But me and Marco, I would have run over.
No and no. I respect the variety of answers here, but I'm staying. I'm staying just because I'm curious. I'm the kind of person who sees Jurassic Park and knows that recreating dinosaurs is bad, but still wants it to happen. So I have no limits.
Yeah.
So back to the script in particular, Mercedes, I am curious, when Joshua's script first came your way, what was it about the material that made you think it not only well suited the skill set you already have as a director, but also would add to it?
Totally. So I love things that are character-based pieces, but then go off in a genre way. And so it really spoke to me that way. But I also need to have a visceral reaction reading the script. So when I read this, there's the plot twist and I audibly went, oh my God, what the fuck? And so I wanted to keep that. And so I knew that's what made me want to do it.
Ooh, I'm a big fan of a what the fuck reaction to stories. And this definitely has it. So obviously you want to do Joshua's script justice. But one of the greatest things about taking somebody else's script and then directing it is that you have an opportunity to kind of make it your own in the process. So what space did you find in what he wrote that you thought you could bring your own unique voice to?
Totally. I think a couple of things. I think, first of all, we wanted to have both the male and female perspective because it's a couple movie. And so that's something I really wanted to bring into this. But then also just certain things of how we shot it, of there's certain transitions. You know, there's this scene where there's an outdoor shower scene and someone makes a suggestive comment and then Marco bites into a sausage in the next scene. And so that's things that we discovered visually to kind of amp up what was already there.
I like it. All right. So now to touch on I don't even know where to go with your characters without spoiling this. So this is going to be your job here, just to tease who they are at the beginning of the film. What would you say is your character's greatest strength in a relationship? But then also, what is their greatest weakness as a partner? The thing that could do their connection in the movie in?
Oh, I love this question. This is, the interesting thing is Diego and Sage, my character, and the couple, they have a backstory. And, you know, they're moving, they're traveling cross country with a car, and they decide to stop there. And everything happens. I think, and one of his weaknesses is the reason that everything happens in this film is he's desperate for recognition, for love, for attention. You know, he needs that so much. He's so insecure and he needs affirmation all the time. But one of his strengths, which is also why things don't go that bad is because he's extremely loyal. I think he's a really, really good at heart person, and he really cares about Sage. So it's also their strength.
I think for Sin, her greatest strength as one half of her relationship with Will has to be just the unconditional love that she has for him, and just like she'll go to any extreme for him. And I think also adding to that, they balance each other out very well. Like she's the yin to his yang. What he lacks, she has, vice versa. But I think her weakness is that she doesn't know when to stop pushing buttons. And sometimes it just doesn't end up in the way that she might want it to.
It's so good. So the strength is the same as the weakness. She goes to two extremes with it.
Yes.
Love it.
I feel like that's true for every single person on the planet.
Yeah.
Everything is a double-edged sword.
So true.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but for the two of you, I believe this is your first horror movie, right?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
I don't know. I still like horror genre. It's my first genre film. We don't do that much in Brazil. I come from Brazil, and it's not such a big thing there. And I was telling Mercedes the other day, I was like, oh, the funniest part for me was just to get ready on set, just throw a bucket of blood and push me on the set. As we didn't have time, I was just like, throw blood on him. Okay, he's ready. Let's go.
That's the attitude you need for a movie like this. I have two questions about this being your first horror movies. First, what would you say is the biggest misconception you had about what it would take to make a horror movie going into this?
Oh, that it would be tension 24/7 and just this constant state of, but it was actually so much fun that sometimes I'm like, oh wait, this is a scary moment. Hold on. Let's reassess. But no, it was so much more fun than I ever thought it would be to, yes, be covered in blood and scream at the top of our lungs and just have a wild time.
I think for me, the misconception was the actor's craft, the creating of characters. I always thought it was like, oh, it's just all about, and there's not really much to build as a character. And that's a big misconception. This film was really like, we had to get into these characters and understand them and build them and make them real and make them truth. And, Mercedes was very much onto that with us, and so it was great. You get to do both. You get to do the crazy running blood, but you also get to do the building the character and bringing this truth.
It's such an important thing to highlight. The crazy running around, blood and guts means absolutely nothing if it doesn't have the foundation of strong characters to stand on. And also, I am a big believer that, I say this a lot, particularly at Fantastic Fest, because everyone here is so lovely and there's such a great community here. I am a big believer that horror movies are, one, the most fun to make, but also they are made by the most lovely, like, warmest people in the world. They're the ones who make the most twisted shit.
Totally. I feel like it's the cute goth kids that are really sweet at heart. That's who I am anyways. You just go, oh yes, you. Yeah.
That's what this whole vibe at this festival is like.
Yes.
And that's why I belong here. I had another question about first time making a horror movie. Walking away from this, what is something about the experience of making Bone Lake that now makes the two of you think, I am so glad my very first horror movie was a Mercedes Bryce Morgan horror movie?
I think you just answered the question with the answer. Yes. But it's a Mercedes Bryce Morgan film movie. It was great. I mean, she brings so much to the film. It's true. When I first read the script, I was like, it has so many ways of going. It's a film that can happen in so many different visions and ways. And I think, I've never worked with a director that had such a sharp vision of what she wanted and how the takes and the camera and the movement is going to help tell the story. And all I have to do as an actor is just believe in the moment and do my work as an actor. And she will know how to, we play the other, this camera around us, down us, going over. And it's just be present, be in the scene, and she's going to be able to capture that. So it was an amazing experience for
You
that.
have an A+ oneer in this movie too. I am always excited by a good oneer. And there's a particular part where I appreciated that quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Marco said. I think, and she had such an extensive and well put together shot list. So every day when the email would come in, before the next morning with the call sheet, there would always be the shot list. And I'd look at every single thing, but it was so detailed and so well put together and creative, and so many were out of the box, and it was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be such a fun day. And then I think, again, just going off of the fun in it all, it was so fun. I mean, we all had such a great time. It was a very tight-knit community. And then Mercedes, created this environment where we really just were able to play and to explore and grow together as characters. And I think that's like such a great takeaway and experience.
That answer is making me think. I'm going to steal a question from another interview that I did here. We were talking about The Rule of Jenny Penn that stars Jeffrey Rush and John Lithgow. And there was a point where the director mentioned that the two of them are great because they have such joy on set. And I love highlighting that even when you're dealing with really dark material where you might not think that is the experience in making that movie. So for each of you, which day on the set of Bone Lake brought you the most joy and why?
I think for me, it was your and Will when you guys dance in the hallway, because I think everything we're doing is so intense. And we finally, I think that's the first point in the movie where we go, okay, it's the fun and games kind of twisting, turning into that. And so that was really, I mean, there were so many moments, but that was a moment for me. Yeah.
For me, it was definitely the engagement and the proposal.
Yeah.
And the scene after the balcony. It was a big spoiler. We can talk about it, but it's definitely, it was fun. It was a good day.
I'm trying to think because so many of them would give away spoilers, so I need to settle on a different one. I think one that I really loved was our group scene when we're all having a great time at night, hanging out, and then Sin and Sage decide to go for a jump in the lake. I think that was just so fun to shoot, just through and through. Yeah.
I love Sage vomiting.
Yeah.
I love it's just after a big moment that I can't say, but it's just like you were brilliant. It was like beat. It's just like you're like that. I love it.
I feel like Adam behind the camera knows where I'm going to go now. Anytime someone brings up fake vomiting, I have to ask this because I play a Would You Rather game every so often. And my favorite Would You Rather question is, this is mainly for the two of you as actors, would you rather have to fake sneeze or fake vomit in a scene?
Ooh, fake vomit.
Fake sneeze.
Really?
I don't want I heard that it was like a mashup of bananas.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
What?
Of course. You have to hold it there. And then
I
you
would
get to
actually
get everyone
throw up
dirty.
by accident, I think. So I'd rather.
That's my problem.
But
But it's hard to do a convincing fake sneeze,
That's
so
true.
I don't know which route to go.
oh, that's true.
Oh,
sorry.
never mind.
It's called acting. That's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was pretty impressed right now.
That's horrible.
That was convincing.
It was overacting.
Yeah, no, I approve. I want to veer back into the casting here because this does seem to me, I mean, every movie hinges on good casting, but in particular here, like you needed the pitch perfect foursome for this concept to work. And I feel like you did find it. So for each of you, whether it was in prep or on set, do you remember the first moment you kind of looked around at everyone and said to yourself, like, yes, we are the right people for this?
Totally. I think when we started doing rehearsals, like I already knew that obviously because I have to believe that to bring in you guys, like it has to feel really good, but I just felt extra good in that moment of seeing everyone bounce off each other. But I was kind of saying this before, but it's interesting because when I first met with you, you told me, Mercedes, secretly I am this character.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And when I met with you, I thought, oh my God, that just makes me feel so good about this decision and stuff felt really right. And then you're not Sin's character. And so seeing you bring that, that's what acting is. Those were moments where I thought, yes, these people are this and they have the ability to do this in completely different ways.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think for me, well, I originally read for the role of Sage.
Crazy.
And I remember reading Sin and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cool. I could never do it. Absolutely not. That's when I just was full of so much like admiration for her as a character. And then I read for the part and it worked out, rest is history. But I think it might've been our second day of shooting. We were doing the scene with Sage and Sin on the picnic, on the porch.
Yeah.
And I was like, this feels right. This feels, I'm finding her. This is great.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a beautiful feeling when you find the character. Right? You're like, oh God. I think for me, usually when I read a project, there's one thing that makes me want to do it, or one scene or a moment or something. And usually it's something that I don't know how to do. And I think for me, it was this. There was a moment where I was like, okay, I know this guy, but I don't know how to play this because it's so absurd. And how do we make this real and truthful? And I was like, I want to do this. This is the challenge I'm looking for. Let's do it, And
I like that.
yeah.
I feel like what's the point in doing a movie if there's not something about it that scares you or kind of adds a new tool to your toolkit, so to speak. Actually, we'll come back to that idea in a minute. But I wanted to make sure to highlight Maddie and Alex a little here because we're lucky enough to talk to the two of you, but we're missing the other half of your foursome here. So can each of you tell me something about them as scene partners that you appreciated and maybe even helped you crush a tough scene in the movie?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I'll jump in right here. Just Maddie has so much warmth as a human being, and she brought that to Sage. And I think it was so lovely to get to really nurture this blossoming friendship that the two characters were finding, because it was authentic, and us finding that friendship too on and off set. And then, Alex, everyone brought their A game, everyone, but Alex and I obviously really had to fine tune that dynamic between Will and Sin, and we got so granular with it, and he was just so fun and to work off of and to collaborate with. And there were so many group scenes where it kind of just felt like, there's a lot happening between all four of us, but you and I are in our own world as Sin and Will. And I think that was like a secret language we were really able to hone in on, and it's so great when you get that in a partner.
That leaps off screen too. Like I think you could feel it with both pairings.
Yeah.
And I think this movie kind of hinges on that.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful thing, and it's like your life is suspended. It's not happening. You're just there, the four of us in one location doing the film. I think Maddie is by far one of the best actors I've ever worked with. She's just a natural. It's just unbelievable. Whatever she does, and it's real, it's not thought. She's like, I'm doing a scene with her, and then she's like this in the middle of the scene, putting her hands and it's just like, that's what we do. Like, she's a natural. It's unbelievable. And it was so nice to work with her. We had some intimate scenes, and you never know. And as an actor, like, what is your limit? I don't want to cross your limit. And she was like, oh baby, let's do this scene. And then she got my hand. It was like, oh, there's and they were like, okay, she's game. She's amazing. And Alex as well. Alex has like this British kind of Aussie vibe.
Yeah, people might not know from this movie he's a British actor.
Yeah, exactly. So it's amazing. Like, he brings this fanciness to the thing. While it was exactly the dynamic I needed, between Diego, the Latin, and and him. So it was a lot of fun to play with him as well. And again, one of my favorite moments was a scene with him, which is a crucial moment in the film. And I think he was brilliant. He gave me everything I needed there. So
this is a very tense, dialogue-driven scene.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's absurd. It is another one that made me think, even though it is absurd, how would I handle such a conversation? And I can't honestly say I would do all the things that most people would assume you should do in that moment, which is mind-boggling to me. Mercedes, I wanted to make sure to highlight your collaboration with Maddie as well, because of course I already brought up Fixation and you worked together there. And that was a mighty ambitious project overall, but a role for her in particular. So is there anything the two of you were able to accomplish making Bone Lake that was because you had that experience working together on that?
Totally. I feel like we had a common language and a trust built there, but it's so funny because Fixation versus this, that was such a heavy movie, and I think Maddie was kind of relieved to do something together where she got to laugh and joke in a lot of scenes, whereas in the other movie we did, she's being tortured in every scene. And so I think she was really excited about that, and I was too, because I got, great, let's do another space together that's different, but we get to enjoy this.
I'm glad that she gets to have a little levity after that one. There's so many scenes from that movie that are just burned in my brain, and they're stunning to look at too. And her performance is exceptional in both things. I have to wrap with you. I'm surprised I even remember this. I want to go back to the toolkit idea. So obviously Bone Lake is premiering here at Fantastic Fest. So I feel like I'm greedy even asking this, but I want more from you. So what is a new tool in your directing toolkit, so to speak, that you gained from Bone Lake that you'd be most eager to apply to a future film?
Definitely. I think that, I think the intimacy scenes, I think that's something that requires so much trust, and there's a certain way to go about doing it. And I felt good about that before this movie, but now I feel really good on people asking for what they need and giving that. And so I think I gained that from this.
I like the sound of that. And now I'm going to get even greedier. Do you have something else cooking?
Yeah. So LD Entertainment, who did this movie, some of my favorite producers of all time, we're doing another movie together after this.
I like the sound of that.
Yes.
I'm going to push it a little further. I feel like it's safe to assume it leans genre.
It is a horror film. Yeah.
Is there any will it explore a similar horror subgenre that you've done in the past or something new?
Something new.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like that.
definitely.
I like that.
Yeah.
Keep me on my toes.
Yes.
keep making stories that make my head spin and finding A+ ensembles for your films, because really something else here. I'm going to say huge congratulations on Bone Lake. Thank you for sharing some of your experience with us. To everybody out there, keep an eye out for Bone Lake, and also because now I'm thinking about it, watch out for Marco's other movie, High Tide, which is also phenomenal. And my God, man, the range I've seen from you this year is something else.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll have more from Fantastic Fest 2024 for you very soon.